Welcome to the Hudson Show. Coming up, why one company is switching to a 6-day work week. Also, quite possibly the worst place in the world to do your taxes. All that and more on the way next. It's the Hudson Show from RadioU. Nikki is coming up later in the podcast. And actually, she's coming up right now on the podcast too. Nikki, hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Nikki, I don't know if you listened to the show or the previous episode of the Hudson Show podcast, but I wanted to give you a little update on The Golden Bachelor. Have you heard about this?
Ooh, okay. So that was the one Bachelor I was kind of interested in watching because it was that the one last year where it was nothing but these promos of the old guy?
Yep. That's exactly what it was.
Never watched it, but I was interested kind of at the very beginning.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. People, I feel like, eventually felt like The Golden Bachelor got very exploitative. And
sure.
The update. Well, did you first of all see that there was a golden wedding that was aired live on TV because the Golden Bachelor had found a match?
Yes. And then I saw like the Bachelor gossip where they were like, they've never lived together, but they were married for a bit. And it was kind of like all that TV show stuff.
Well, the latest update is earlier this week, the Golden Bachelor announced that he's getting a golden divorce.
Is no one safe from divorce?
Yeah, right. If the Golden Bachelor,
is it like when your parents divorced all over again?
Yeah, they had to put their children through this all over again because both people that were married. The Golden Bachelor, he was widowed or something. But they never. I don't know if they ever lived together, but that was the problem. They said with their families and stuff, they could not decide on a place to live, a house that they could buy together and live together.
No, that's
their
talk.
excuse.
That's not true. They didn't actually like each other. They just wanted to marry for TV.
I guess so. I mean, they cashed in on that. No matter how old you are, Nikki, some may debate whether you're ever too old for love, but there's definitely no debate. You're never too old to chase fame and fortune.
Oh, no, I thought you were going to say you're never too old to divorce.
Yeah, that's, I used to think that's not true. Now I definitely,
now it is.
Yeah, that is definitely true. You're never too old to mess things up. So are they back
to like bachelor is there any other side things that happen?
I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe they're doing a Golden Bachelorette.
Oh, the woman's side. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It could be the lady.
That's what I was thinking. Her name is Teresa, the gal that just got married to the Golden Bachelor and divorced. She might make a good star of the Golden Bachelorette now that she's back on the market.
That could be.
Yeah. Well, that's the Golden Bachelor update you needed, Nikki. I just wanted to make sure you were up to.
Thank you for involving me on this news that I need to know.
Yes. More from Nikki coming up later in the podcast. It's the Hudson Show. A dynasty may have ended in the NBA last night. That's after the Golden State Warriors made an uncharacteristically early exit in the NBA playoffs. Technically, it wasn't even the playoffs. It was the play-in. They were knocked out by the Sacramento Kings, so their season is over. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Lakers get the win over the Pelicans. That means they get to advance on, and LeBron and Anthony Davis get to continue. They'll have to face the Nuggets in their next series. And it just goes to show, happening on the same night, LeBron, the Lakers winning again, where LeBron just gets another shot, another chance at a title. And I'm not counting them out. If they can get past the Nuggets, they can get past anybody. They've got a real shot. LeBron just yet again continues on where you have another dynasty coming to an end. It's crazy how many stars seem to have come and gone during LeBron's reign here. Steph Curry being another. They may not be done yet, the Warriors. Many are saying they'll trade away Klay Thompson and try to slot some other star in. Do you think it's that easy? You think the Warriors are just going to all of a sudden be in the finals again sometime soon? No, that happens with like 3 players all time. One of them is LeBron. Just continues to impress. And I'll tell you, though, the NBA playoffs setting up to be real interesting because it's just wide open. Who's going to dominate? We don't know. Mark Zuckerberg maybe fighting in the UFC sooner than you think. He did a Q&A on Instagram after UFC 300, which he attended on Saturday night. One of the questions was, when's Dana, as in Dana White, the commissioner of the UFC, putting you on a card? And Mark Zuckerberg's reply was, quote, want to do it when my knee is fully recovered. He had an ACL injury a while ago. He's still working on getting back from that. But he's serious, apparently. He wants to do some UFC fights. It's unclear Dana White's been very non-committal about whether he would actually allow Mark Zuckerberg to be on a card. But I mean, come on. If he doesn't, some other fighting organization should make it happen. It just makes sense. You think about what makes UFC MMA so interesting, at least to me, is that you get emotionally invested, usually in somebody that you don't like, and then you get to watch the fight in hopes of somebody you don't like getting their face beat in. There's nothing more exciting and possibly more satisfying than that. But what's the thing? You have to actually get emotionally invested first. When you start throwing celebrities, public figures in the ring, we're already emotionally invested. I mean, look at how the Logan and Jake Paul fights have been going. People are interested because they want to see somebody that generally, I think they see somebody they dislike get their face beat in. Somebody needs to make a Mark Zuckerberg fight happen. And I mean, honestly, just routinely, we should have every week, we should have celebrities getting in some kind of MMA action, because how fun would that be? An octopus is a terrible pet. How do I know? There's a story in the New York Times. A child named Cal, he had been asking his parents for years to get him an octopus. Finally, for his 9th birthday, they got him an octopus as a gift. He named the octopus Terrence. But soon after, they realized that Terrence was not a boy. Terrence was a girl. And what can girls do that boys can't? Have babies, and lots of them. About 50. I mean, case closed right there. If any pet that you can't tell where it's a boy or a girl, and if it's a girl, it can have 50 babies, is a bad pet. It says that they had to set up 50 separate aquariums to contain each of the different octopuses after they were born. No, you didn't. Chalk that up to a lesson learned. And this is a lesson that every child needs to learn. The sooner you learn it, the better. And this is true for kids and adults. And that's that sometimes what you want is stupid and you shouldn't get it. Like a pet octopus. We're in the midst of Would You Rather Wednesday. Today's question: picture you're at a summer festival on the very first day. Would you rather all of your stuff get soaked? We're not just talking about the clothes you're wearing. We're talking about you're in a tent and everything in there is soaking wet because of some kind of downpour of rain. Or the very first day of the festival, would you rather get sunburned? This question sent to us from Janet 8772 RadioU. Some answers coming in. Susanna saying she'd rather get soaked for sure. No reasoning given though. I was talking to Chris Moneybags was in here. He says he's going with soaked as well. He says if you get soaked, everything can dry out. But if you get sunburned, that's sticking with you for days. Now, I had to debate Chris a little bit because I was saying if you get soaked, not only does that mean your stuff is wet, and I mean, who's to say that you get soaked on the first day and you're just going to have sunny skies the rest of the festival? I don't know if that's always how it works. But also, if you get soaked, there's a good chance that means everything at the festival is muddy. So even if you can dry your stuff out, you're going to get muddy and messy and nasty, even more so than you would typically at a summer festival. So for me personally, I know sunburned, uncomfortable, but I mean, you're going to get sunburned at a festival more often than not anyways. And whether it's on the first day or the last day, when you get home, you notice it. I don't know if that makes a whole heck of a lot of difference. But if you get soaked on the first day of a summer festival, you're just setting yourself up for trouble. A pro UFC fighter punched a fan at UFC 300 on Saturday night. If you missed it, while Arman Sarukian was walking out to the octagon for his fight with Charles Oliveira, a fan provoked him, and he went ahead and actually threw a full-on punch at a fan that was standing right near the aisle where he was walking out. It was so bad, Dana White, the commissioner of the UFC, assumed that the UFC was going to get sued because of it. Apparently, that's not the case. This is crazy. The fan not only is not suing, the fan that got punched by a pro UFC fighter has apologized. He says he did want to clear everything up because video wasn't clear. All he did was flip off the UFC fighter, but he kind of flipped him off right in his face. And Arman Sarukian did not take kindly to that, so that's why he threw the punch. He said after the fact that you can do that if you're far, far away, but if you're right up in my face, you can flip me off, I'll punch you. and I'll go to prison for it. Apparently, he's not going to prison. The UFC not getting sued. The fan apologized. He said that he shouldn't have done that. He was just buzzed all day, and he apologized. He thinks the guy's a great fighter. Well, yeah, I guess you would think that after you got punched by him. I just can't believe it. Is crazy. I don't think you should be flipping people off in their face. I also don't think that that's justification for punching somebody in the face. I can't believe that this fan is apologizing. I'm sorry that I made you punch me in the face. That's a wild thing to say. We're in the midst of useless knowledge. Today's question of the day, because it is Conan O'Brien's birthday. Conan, well known for having the pompadour hairstyle. He's not the only one, of course. Elvis, Bruno Mars, and one popular restaurant mascot sport the pompadour. Which popular restaurant mascot is it? Many good guesses coming in. A few saying Colonel Sanders. Some saying the Burger King King. Can you even tell behind his crown? But those, of course, are incorrect. However, a lot of people seem to know today's useless knowledge question of the day. Shout out to Stephanie, Jim, Josh, and many others who correctly guessed Big Boy. Some call him Frisch's Big Boy. Some call him Bob's Big Boy. Sure, there's other iterations of Big Boy, but Big Boy is the correct answer. He wears a pompadour hairstyle. And speaking of pompadours, do you care that the pompadour hairstyle, according to legend, originated in 1680 in France when King Louis the Great loved the way his mistress, the Duchess of Fontanges, arranged her hair after she fell from a horse. She started wearing it that way every day to please him. I'm not sure if that's offensive or kind of sweet. You know, like, was he mocking her? Or was it a situation where it was like, oh, you're so beautiful even after you've fallen off a horse? Not sure. But if you have a pompadour, that's where it started. Don't do taxes on a first date. One woman has learned that lesson the hard way. She's blown up on TikTok after she was planning to meet a guy off of a dating app. She was going to meet up with him at a bar. He was going to do her taxes because apparently he's a finance bro. The date wound up not going well. In fact, this is actually one of the better case scenarios to me, is that he just ghosted her instead of coming and doing with her taxes. Girl, you haven't met this guy. You're going to let him mess around with your finances? Come on. I don't care if he's a finance bro or not. Now, some people on TikTok are pointing out the tax thing on a first date is heinous. It's a wild thing to do. But that's not the only reason the date might have failed. It also could be because she's 32 and he's 23, which makes a lot of sense. Listen, I'm all for age differences in dating. I don't think there's any issue with that. Mrs. Hudfather is several years older than me, but it's a big deal when one of you is 32, a grown adult, and the other one is 23. Yet again, possibly a finance bro, if he's telling the truth about that, but also just fresh out of college and, may not have his life entirely together yet. But a lot of poor decisions here. Yet again, I think him ghosting her, probably a best case scenario. Things could have gone much worse. A big change is coming to TikTok. They've just announced a update they're making to the platform. Going forward, users who routinely post videos that dabble in certain topics such as conspiracy theories, dieting, extreme fitness, and many others will be temporarily banned from their videos showing up in the For You feed. It says that TikTok is actually going to notify you if you are one of those users that keeps posting stuff that they don't really want you to. They don't want to ban the topics entirely, but they do want to keep those topics out of people's For You feeds, which I guess that seems like a good idea. So, and it's good, too, that they're going to actually notify you so that people can stop complaining about being shadow banned and just complain about actually being banned. But if they're willing to go ahead and say that they are, starting this now and making it publicly known, who's to say they haven't been secretly doing this all along? It would explain why my videos don't get very many views, because just seeing my body is clearly a promotion of extreme fitness. If you ever run into a relationship issue, we're happy to help. Not just myself, Hudson, but our RadioU listeners as well. You can always write in at 8772 RadioU and let us know what's going on, and we'll do what we can to make things a little better. Here, we have a listener asking for some help. She says, I admit I talk a lot about work, but when work consists of 8 hours of my life, 5 days a week, how do you not talk about it? I also just want validation for the things I do or to share what I'm up to. But this weekend, my husband said I need to stop. I know my dad talks a lot about work and it can get tiring, but it's not like it's all I talk about. And now I'm scared my friends will get sick of me as well. I'm so sad and I feel stuck. I don't know if I feel like talking to him anymore. What should I do? Well, this is actually a rare situation where I feel like I have something meaningful to add to the situation already, but we also want to hear from the RadioU listeners. Matt simply says, you have to learn to leave work at work. It's hardly ever worth bringing back home. So he's saying, yeah, maybe you do talk too much about work, and perhaps you just got to leave it behind when you get home. Also, some good thoughts from Amy, who says, my husband and I rarely talk about our work. We occasionally do when something big happens, but as a general rule, we like to try to disconnect from work when we're at home and focus on our family. It's good for your mental health to be able to disconnect as well. I think those are some good thoughts. But then we heard from Stacy here, who says, your significant other may be wanting to have an actual conversation with you, and what happens is that you possibly wind up talking at your husband about your job instead of having a conversation with them. This is actually really common, but you could actually be losing connection with your significant other if they do not feel like they're an active participant in the conversation. So just kind of changing your strategy, the way you go into the conversation. And something similar coming from Tim as well, who says it's important to know about your where your partner is at. He agrees. We spend a lot of time and energy working, but it's important that he's on the same page. Tim also wonders if it's a language issue. If you could change the tone or style of the conversation to make it safe for both people to engage in, may be helpful. And that hits on where I think I can add a little bit of my own flavor here as a radio host. What you have to do, it's not that you're talking about work. That's not the issue. But whether I'm talking to a big audience here on RadioU or whether you're just talking to one person individually, it's not the topic. It's making the topic relatable. If you can find things about work that's like, hey, what would you do in this situation? Or can you believe this happened? That can make it a whole lot more interesting and make them more likely, your husband more likely to be engaged, or your friends, than if you're just rattling on about some quotas you have to meet or whatever it is. Yeah, that may be stressful and we've been there, but it's not exactly new, or it doesn't exactly get the thought juices flowing. So hopefully this is helpful. Don't feel bad about it though, because you're correct. Everybody spends a lot of time at work, at least most of us. And of course, it's going to take up a lot of your brain space, but try to strike a balance between disconnecting from it a little bit and also just trying to bring up the topics from work in a way that's engaging with your partner will make a big difference. Seems the impending robot takeover now closer than ever. Boston Dynamics, possibly the most famous robot making company in the world right now, made headlines earlier this week when they announced they were retiring their Atlas bipedal robot. Bipedal, fancy word for two-legged robot. And we all breathed a collective sigh of relief until they unveiled yesterday that they're replacing the old version of Atlas with a brand new and improved version of Atlas, which is all electric. They're very proud of. I think the old version was hydraulic. This one, all electric. And they unveiled it by simply showing a video of the robot, what appears to be lying down on what would be your stomach, face down. Then the robot's legs flip over, up over its hips, and the robot is able to stand up that way. Its entire torso twists around, and then the head twists around as well to reveal that its face is now a mirror. So the last thing you see before it stabs you to death is your own frightened reflection. This is horrible. The video looks like something out of The Exorcist. I don't know. I mean, at least the previous robot, while somewhat threatening, also was kind of cute. They could make this at least so it didn't look terrifying, but no, they can't even pull that off. We're all doomed. I'm more convinced of it now than ever. Red Lobster is planning to file for bankruptcy. The reports have come out that Red Lobster not making enough money. They're blaming it on onerous leases and high labor costs are the reasons why they are just not able to remain financially viable at the current moment. Now, they are filing for Chapter 11, it seems, so Red Lobster may not go away. But the fact that Red Lobster, with those biscuits, could be anywhere near bankruptcy is obviously financial malpractice. I mean, not the fact that they're just giving those things away for free to anybody who walks in the door. The truth is, we've had it too good for too long. Since 1968, when the very first Red Lobster opened, we should have known that it wasn't sustainable. Endless shrimp, bottomless, amazing biscuits. It just can't go on, and the time may be coming where those types of things go by the wayside. Hopefully Red Lobster is able to stick around, or at least, even if the restaurants disappear, I can still keep buying the Cheddar Bay biscuit mix at the store. Nikki, everyone should know you're in Florida right now.
Sure.
Has anyone there warned you about the monkeys?
The monkeys?
Yeah. I can tell by your reaction that clearly nobody's warned you about the monkeys.
No, I will say I'm in an area where normally iguanas have not infiltrated as much. And we have now started to hear about the iguanas being a big problem, but I have not yet heard anything about monkeys.
I wonder what's more dangerous, an iguana.
The iguanas are bad. They are mean and they hide in your attics.
Yep.
And they'll attack you. So especially if you're just out walking around. But again, those are new to this area. But what can a monkey do?
I'm seeing here that monkeys in Florida, apparently specifically macaques, rhesus macaques, they sound very delicious.
Rhesus?
Yeah. The rhesus macaques.
Is it a chocolate monkey?
That'd be a lot more fun than these monkeys, which can give you herpes.
Oh, okay. Well, that turned a turn.
Yeah. They're warning people that these monkeys are very dangerous, that they can give you herpes, and the kind of herpes that can kill you.
No, wait. You're getting worse with this.
Yes.
I didn't know that was an option. I didn't know that was something.
I think there's a lot of types of herpes from how I understand
And does anybody else not like the word?
Yes, that's right.
Just keep saying
there's less threatening versions of herpes, but they all are guilty by association because they all sound bad. But this one is herpes B. And if you contract herpes B from one of these monkeys, it can infect your brain and kill you.
So how does maybe I don't want to know, but how does that happen? Do they kiss you? Is it just hugging you? If a monkey licks you? How does that look?
I want to let you know that if you do contract herpes from a monkey and you tell people that, they're all going to assume you kissed the monkey.
The worst.
Yeah,
the worst.
They're going to assume
the worst.
The truth is that, I guess it's possible if you kissed one of these monkeys, if they let you, that could happen. But it says through bites, scratches, or contact with bodily fluids.
Ew! Okay, let's leave it at scratches. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. Because for me, if a monkey came up, I'd probably be honest. I'd try to pet the monkey and say hi to it, but I haven't seen any so far. But now I can add that to the list of things to worry about.
It specifically says not to do that here.
Not to do that. Okay.
Yeah, do not pet a monkey. I can send you the monkey tracker that
so it tells you where they're at?
Yeah, how many monkeys are in your county. You're not in Marion County, are you?
I am not. I don't even know where that is.
There's 92 monkeys there. So maybe stay away from that one. I could go to, there's monkeys in a lot of counties, but there's also a lot of counties in Florida that probably don't have monkeys yet. So
you're telling me if in front of me was an iguana, an alligator, a monkey, and there's some bears in the area, you're saying that it's still safer if I go towards the bears?
Yes. I was thinking maybe iguana because they're smaller, but maybe bear.
They'll also get you too. So, I'll just stay inside. It's fine.
Yeah, that's the idea. One major company is making a change where the weekend's going to be a little shorter. Samsung switching to a 6-day work week. You heard that right, with all the talk of 4-day work weeks for so many companies across the globe. Samsung says, nuh-uh, we're switching to 6. Now, it's even worse when you realize the reason for it. They are switching to a 6-day work week for their executives because they're basically in crisis management mode. They believe the numbers for Samsung apparently bad enough. The financial numbers looking pretty grim. And so they're trying to do basically all hands on deck as far as the executives go, make them work 6 days a week to try to turn the ship around, which I don't know. When you announce it that way, to me, maybe this is why I'm not an executive, but that I would take that as a sign. I got to get off of this sinking shit. You're going to make me work 6 days a week and the company might go under. I got to get out of here. But yet again, maybe that's why I'm just a radio guy. The question is, as we're heading into wedding season, is it rude not to send a gift if you aren't able to attend the wedding, or if you just choose not to go to the wedding? You can chime in with your thoughts at 877-2-RadioU. I'll tell you, Angela said, generally, yes. Generally, yes, it is rude not to send a gift. Some good thoughts also from Jared, who says, it depends on your relationship to the person. If it's a close friend or family member, you probably should send a gift. But if it's not anybody in your inner close circle, then the RSVP that you're not going is a gift enough. I like that from Jared. Hannah, similar thoughts. If the person who's getting married is really close to you, then I would send a gift. But if it's just a casual friend or acquaintance, then I would not send a gift. Susanna says, I don't think it's rude, but I still likely will try to get a gift if I feel affection towards the couple that's getting married. But something meaningful or personal, not a blender off of the registry. I like this. I'll tell you what I've done in the past. I think, not that I adhere to this 100%, but I typically think that it's the right thing to do to send a gift. However, here's some good thoughts from Amanda. She says, I don't expect anything from people that aren't coming. I think that's probably the way to go. It's a nice way to go above and beyond if you want to send a gift, but you assuredly don't have to. And it's very likely, especially if you're on the fringes of even being invited in the first place, where you don't feel like it's completely necessary to go, then they probably aren't even the couple's probably not even going to notice that you didn't send anything in the first place. A woman has been caught for bringing her uncle's dead body to the bank. The event took place in Brazil this week, and there's security footage not only of the woman with her dead uncle in the bank, but also her loading him in and out of a taxi on the way to the bank. And what's unbelievable, I don't know what is worse to watch if you're squeamish like me, her and the taxi driver lifting his dead body out of the vehicle and onto a wheelchair, because that's pretty tough to watch when you know he's dead. Apparently the taxi driver just went with it. That's tough, but so is him in the bank, and his head keeps tipping over because it's limp. He's dead. And she keeps tilting it back up. People were able to notice, not people on the street kind of seemed to show concern. And the bank teller actually asked, is he okay? He looks very pale and whatever. She goes, he's just like that. Her goal was trying to get him to sign for what amounts to about a $3,400 loan. And I just have to imagine her mindset that, like, who knows how long she's been taking care of him as his health must have been declining. And all along she's thinking, if I can just make it through, Eliza, make it through. And there's $3,400 waiting for you on the other side. You ever think about smell when it comes to vacations? But one research company has tried to determine which cities around the world smell the best. What they found was the best smelling city, Athens, Greece. Which makes a lot of sense, right? It's near the ocean. You might get some nice ocean smells along with like the baklava they're making there and whatever. It makes a lot of sense. Number 2 on the list was Paris, France. Of course, all the bakeries there. I can imagine that city smelling real nice. And Zurich, Switzerland. I don't know, maybe that smells like chocolate. Not sure, but that was number 3. I guess it's no shock that the United States did not come in any of our cities near the top of the list. When you think about the major cities in the U.S., most of them kind of wind up smelling like smog and urine. So not exactly aromatic. Think about this. Your reaction to a situation is so dependent on your relationship to the people in the situation. Let me give you an example. That let's say you're out at a baseball game and somebody behind you has been kind of loud and obnoxious the entire game, and then they spill a beer on you. You're much more likely to be thoroughly upset, to just kind of blow up and be like, what do you do? Than if you're with your buddies at a baseball game and one of your buddies is being loud and obnoxious the whole game and he spills a beer. It's a totally different reaction, and it's only because of your relationship to the person. You don't know that stranger, so if they do something negative towards you, you're going to get all upset. But somebody you know and somebody you care about, they do something similar, you're much more likely to be forgiving. And that's actually how God sees you. He doesn't see you as the stranger doing stupid stuff at the baseball game. He sees you as one of his friends, somebody he loves and cares about. So when you screw up, it's not God getting upset at you and going, what are you doing? Whatever, get me a new shirt. It's Jesus saying, hey, it's okay. I forgive you. I love you. It's all cool. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's what God is telling you. If you're worried about Jesus being upset with you, he's not. If you want to find out more, find out directly from him. He's your friend. You can talk to him. Say, hey, God, I want to know more. Show me how you love me. Show me how you care about me. And he will. If you want to know more, RadioU.com/free gift is a great place to start. So I love that IKEA now in their food court, they're advertising hot dogs. They're selling them for 50 cents a dog. They have like signs up that say, get your glizzy on. And it shows that you can get 78 hot dogs for $39. I mean, that's a great deal. Costco is like $1.50. And I don't know if we can keep doing this. IKEA's like, buy 78 hot dogs for $39. What an amazing deal. Although I do feel that if you ordered 78 hot dogs, the IKEA employees would be thoroughly upset with you. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that by the time we're back together again on Monday, the NHL playoffs will have started. And I'll admit that I maybe have fallen out of love a little bit with some of the NHL playoff action over the years, mostly because the Buffalo Sabres, my favorite team, are never in them, but also because it always seems to wind up rewarding teams that know how to manipulate the salary cap, but not necessarily the teams that were the best in regular season. I'm looking at you, Las Vegas and Tampa Bay. But all that said, I may not be as tuned in for some of the early games, but I've never fallen out of love with overtime elimination game playoff hockey. It doesn't get better than that. The best way I've seen it described is it's like snorting cocaine and then driving a motorcycle out of a helicopter, which obviously I've never done, but I have to imagine that feels like watching NHL overtime elimination game playoff hockey. So when we get to that time a few days down the line, I'm going to be watching